Hello everyone and welcome to this Gran Turismo video where we're going to be talking about GT Sophy. So if you're unsure what Sophy is, it's essentially an AI that is in Gran Turismo 7 on the PlayStation 5 only. It's not on the PS4 version. Essentially, it's an improved version of a AI player, essentially. But rather than just a set of procedures like a standard AI, this is a AI that has learnt machine learning and can continue to develop. And that's what's being developed right now in terms of GT Sophy. Now, a year and a half ago, and this is a video I wanted to make a year and a half ago, I helped out at the Christmas lectures for Gran Turismo. I was the GT Pro driver, and Dr. Kaushik, apologies if I'm pronouncing that wrong, was the presenter there and has been heavily involved with Sophy's creation. Now, throughout the day, I was in conversation around it and in terms of GT Sophy and just understanding a bit more about it. And I started getting a lot of ideas about how GT Sophy could improve Gran Turismo, and this is the video I really wanted to make. How could Sophy improve it? Well, this is what this video is for. So, a year and a half later than expected, or planned, or just under that, of course, I am literally going to make this video. Now, I will hopefully at some point be able to publish the whole clip that was at the Christmas lectures. I am asking for permission. Obviously, it's copyrighted material, so I have to ask the creators, producers, and if they say yes, I can then put it on the channel. And then guess what? No copyright strikes, and you get to see it, because I know some people haven't seen it yet. Even so, we're going to get into the video now on 4 ways Sophy could improve Gran Turismo. So let's start off with number 1, shall we? Because that's where we start. First things first. We don't do first things second, do we? And that's Gran Turismo's current AI, you know, that we've used all the way from GT1 all the way to GT7, apart from the Sophy aspect, has always been pretty rubbish. In fact, in most games, it is pretty rubbish in the grand scheme of it. It's got a set procedures, and it just follows those procedures. Now, I'm not shooting down the creators of that, because creating AI is very difficult. I've made a very basic game with AI involved, and it took a lot of work just to do the basic game. So what they do in terms of even just getting the standard Gran Turismo AI to do what it does is still a very good accomplishment. However, Sophy takes it up that extra level, doesn't it? We've raced against Sophy. We've seen Sophy race against some of the World Tour drivers at events and absolutely dominate them. And of course, they've had to slow Sophy down a little bit just so that anybody can be able to beat Sophy. But even so, in this situation, what it does is it presents a future where Gran Turismo offline mode could be very competitive. You could have some fantastic races against a computer player and actually it be tense and fun and entertaining. And what that does, and especially in my situation, when I want to race VR, and I've said I want to race VR offline, it gives me some fun. Because it's not really that fun racing offline at the moment in Gran Turismo, if I'm brutally honest with you. Because you just overtake everybody within the first lap if you have a grid start, for example. But with Sophy, oh, well, I'll be pushing my limits to try and beat Sophy. And guess what? That presents a fun experience for me as a player. And then I'll keep coming back because I can get to experience different races. And guess what? If all the different cars and tracks Sophy can race, happy days. I can make my own unique races. Maybe I make a multi-class race. Maybe I do whatever I want with it. Every kind of different class. I can just have a bit of fun with it. So it's something nice to see that Sophy is coming. We're seeing more and more events added with the patches. And Sophy in the future, Gran Turismo 8, who knows, could be in every single event, and we could have actually a very challenging computer player to play against in the offline mode. The balance of performance. So this is a very, very big topic consistently in Gran Turismo ever since Sport Mode came out, you know, back in GT Sport, all the way through to this point in time in GT7. Balance of performance. Now, in terms of that, some of the best drivers that have ever been in Gran Turismo have done some balance of performance. And one of them, even now, still does it, you know. And you could argue that the balance of performance isn't that good. I would argue differently in the fact that, you know, driving style plays a factor. The fact that we've got sponsors in there. So there will be some aspect of that playing into balance of performance. Yes, it should be equal. I'm very well aware of that. But we have to always talk about money does talk in situations, which is why Toyota usually end up with a very good car in the official season. It just is what it is. However, Sophy, which is what the point of this whole video is, could arguably change balance of performance to be even better. So at the moment, we've got high, medium, and low. And as you've seen in the car profiles, I do those tests on high, medium, and low. Car profiles should return it in the future. However, when I do those tests, I could be tired, I could be fatigued, I could have had a long day, I could do it in the morning, I could do it when I'm hungry, and that will obviously impact the tests. If Sophy does it, it doesn't really impact the test at all. And arguably, Sophy will never suffer fatigue, which I just talked about. Guess what? If Sophy could do all the BOP tests at all the tracks. We won't just need high, medium, and low. We can have track-specific balance of performance in all the cars. Winner! Happy days. And Sophy can do that because that will be able to get the most out of each of the given cars. And on top of that, obviously, I've got a preferred driving style. Everybody else has preferred driving styles. It's why we drive different cars. Obviously, I prefer MR to FR. Sophy doesn't. Sophy will just get the maximum out of the car, and we'll be able to do those tests. And then the data Gran Turismo will get, and they go, right, okay, we'll have to adjust the BOP in certain ways. Sophy could give us the most perfect balance of performance we've ever had in a Gran Turismo game. The penalty system. Oh, we all have our opinions on the old penalty system, don't we? Now, let's break into a bit of a detail of this. Now, I can't remember where I read this, heard this, talked about this. Obviously, I've been a World Tour driver in the past. It could very well have been a World Tour event. But the penalty system, the way it worked. So when you cut the circuit, from memory, whether it works like this now, I don't know. But from memory, what happens is the game tests how much speed you gained versus the AI. Now, we're not talking Sophy AI here. We're talking the standard Gran Turismo AI, which most people can already beat quite easily. And as you see on the pause menu, when you press pause and the car continues to drive around, the AI breaks in really, really weird places and goes really slowly in some parts of the circuit. So with that said, you normally end up with a track limit penalty. And we've seen that many times in Gran Turismo 7 and Gran Turismo Sport. When you're racing around, especially at Le Mans, for example, like literally you'll get random penalties and you're like, why did I get that? It doesn't even make any sense. Obviously versus AI, you probably just did it so much faster and it goes, boom, penalty. Anyway, Sophy obviously is far more competitive. So will that allow Sophy basically to do the comparisons in terms of speed through corners and help reduce penalties which you really shouldn't receive? That could happen, and Sophy could help improve the penalty system. On top of that, Sophy is machine learning AI, so it deals with positive behavior. So you tell Sophy when something's good, made the right decision, you know, a bit like when training a dog or anything else like that. You go, good behavior, right, okay, there we go. That's the way to analyze that instance. So let's just say there's a big crash on circuit. You give Sophy the data, Sophy goes, it's that driver's fault. And let's just say Sophy gets it wrong. So you go, no, Sophy, that wasn't right. Sophy realizes it, does it again. So Sophy then goes, it's that driver's fault. And you go, yep, it was that driver's fault. You know, 55, 45, whatever it might be. It goes, that's that driver's fault. And then assigns a penalty. Now, if Sophy can learn these instances, and you know, most instances, looking at plebs of the week, they're very similar. They are very, very similar. And if they are similar, there's no reason why Sophy cannot decide very quickly who's at fault, who deserves a penalty, and actually apply those penalties in a race. That'd be amazing if that came into Gran Turismo, and it would help solve some of the most silly penalties that do happen in Gran Turismo. Look at wall riding. If you told Sophy wall riding is bad, and then Sophy sees somebody wall riding, Sophy would be able to penalise straight away, and then we don't need these weird penalties that happen when you crash, because Sophy would go, no, that's a crash, not wall riding, or no, that's wall riding, not a crash, I need to penalise that. That would be so good. So with Sophy, there is a possibility there that we could see a much better penalty system if they use Sophy for the penalty system. Finally, this is more of a feature than improving an aspect of the game, although some people will argue it's improving an aspect of the game. So let's take a online lobby. You've created an online lobby, you have 5 players in that lobby, and you really want to start the race with a full grid. Now, Sophy is very good at racing. You know, we've talked about that already, how Sophy could really revolutionize offline mode in Gran Turismo. It could revolutionize online mode in Gran Turismo. So you're in a lobby, you got 5 players, you want to race with 16 players. You click the button that says autofill lobby with Sophy. Sophy fills the remaining spots, you enter the race, you have a full grid of players. 5 human players, 11 AI players, Sophy AI players, and you have a race. How good would that be? It would mean you're not waiting for people to join, and you may have unique races. You know, you may want to do some weird NASCAR race, and you assign the car to Sophy. Boom, there we go. We've got a weird NASCAR race going on. Maybe a V8 supercar race. You've designed your own V8 supercars. There you go. Autofill the lobby. Not everybody wants to do V8 supercars, but now you've got a full grid. Future Gran Turismos, I am hoping they have bigger lobbies, much bigger lobbies. You know, 32 players, 40 players, 50 players, a 50-car grid. Maybe you can only get 20 and you go, aha, autofill Sophy. Now we have a 50-car grid. Happy days. Bigger races, bigger grids, and you can all have full grid races in online mode by just pressing one little button that says fill lobby with Sophy AI. That would be so good. So good. On top of that, and this is like a Brucey bonus, should I say. At the moment, if you're on your own in a lobby, you cannot start a race on your own. So how do you practice GTWS events, for example? Maybe you don't want to go into a daily race because you just really want to try the tyre wear and fuel usage. Well, you have the option of setting a normal custom race up, or maybe you want to do it online and you just want to go into the online mode where the physics are slightly different, let's be honest with you, and get into play. But you've got no one to play with. But you really need to practice the race. And I had this in GT Sport myself. I had no way of practicing some races. Okay, I can autofill with Sophy now. Oh, look. I can actually try the race. So you can actually practice the GTWRS round if you wanted to. GTWRS. What's WRS? GTWS round. And actually experience that and then go, do you know what? I'm really prepared for the race on Saturday or Wednesday or whenever you do the GTWS events. That's another nice little feature that could come from Sophy. So there are 4 features, upgrades that I could see coming to Gran Turismo in the future with Sophy if they keep revolutionizing Sophy. Some big changes possible there, in my opinion, that could revolutionize the game entirely and make it literally the best game you can play on the console right now. And it would be awesome to see this. It really would. Now, if you have enjoyed this video, as always, do give it a like, do subscribe to the channel, and let me know what you think Sophy could improve on Gran Turismo in the comments down below. There are 2 videos there to check out. Do check out my partners down below as well. And remember to use code Tidgney at checkout for GT Amiga for that discount. And I get a kickback as well if you use any of those links or that code. Thank you as always for watching, and I hope to see you in another video or live stream again very soon.